that, to like eat. Maybe if I got paid a livable wage for things that I do, rather than having to watch him create this type of thing. But again, this, I guess if we think more nefariously about it, this could try and be something to try to pass off as the normalcy of relationships or the normalcy of how you get by. Just create grok to tell you some things anybody that won't tell you because you're too much of a trash person like this guy is. So we have to keep creating it so that we can feel that sense of happiness or desire. Man, these guys suck at things. We have to keep giving our money to them for it. It's tiring, bro. I said it years ago. We're gonna get zapped by technology. I still think that.
You did say that. I remember that clip. You said it made me zapped.
They made fun
of me. He's zapped, man. He talks about like the woke mind virus. Dude got zapped. The clankers have zapped him right in his cerebral cortex. Yeah, at the very least, man, don't post it publicly. Like, I want to mock you, obviously. I like doing that, but even I'm a little bit uncomfortable about how pathetic that was. And I know that I'll close on this. There's a lot of men out there. I know there's a loneliness crisis and all that. I get that. And there's a lot of guys who think that like no one will ever love them. And I just want to be very clear to you. You're wrong. You're deserving of love and someone will love you. Well, almost all of you. Not Musk. I really do think that no one could actually love him. Why would they at this point? He is such a pathetic and terrible person. You'd think he has all the resources in the world to be better, but it's never gonna happen. He's got a dozen kids and he's going to clankers to feel a brief sense of being loved. That is so utterly pathetic and I really feel bad for those kids.
Kids don't even love him.
Evidently, I guess. Anyway, that's all the time we have for the show. JR, pleasure having you on as always. Everybody definitely check out the watch list and the watch parties that happen every morning. Thank you.
We lead right into the show. We lead right.
They do, and end promptly when it begins. Anyway, thank you all for being here, for being so awesome and generous to the fill-in host. But now I'm back. We got a lot of plans. Jackson's going to be here tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. This week we're going to be talking about the rise of DC plastic surgery, creating Mar-a-Lago face in more areas of the country. That's going to be a lot of fun. So lots to look forward to. I hope to see you all there. For now, though, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Always good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda. Senator Nina Turner is joining us, the incomparable. Always fascinating to have her analysis. Top story of the day. We have an update. Outrage over 8 Democrats, 8 Democratic senators to be exact, who caved in to the GOP shutdown. Here's some of the response.
Just a quick explanation for those that caved. Liz Durbin, very old and very rich. Jackie Rosen, pretty old and very rich. Fetterman, literal brain damage made him go right-wing, like parts of his brain were physically broken and his politics changed. Catherine Cortez Masto, pretty old, kinda rich. Jean Shaheen, very old and pretty rich. Maggie Hassan, not as old, still pretty rich. Tim Kaine, old, kinda rich, not as much as you'd expect. And Angus King, very old, very rich. Anyway, kids, maybe that'll give this all some context. Let's hope these old rich wake up before the next vote and realize they did all this, put America through hell, standing up for one thing once in their lives, gave the up and got nothing except some orange Cheeto dust around their lips.
Well, they explained themselves. Here's how most of the senators explained their vote.
How do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand?
Because it wasn't working. How long would it take to not get a response to say it isn't working? In other words, it's been 6 weeks. There's been the Republicans made it clear they weren't going to discuss the health care issue, the Affordable Care Act tax credits, until the shutdown was over. Gives us a path forward to possibly do something about the horrendous ACA tax credit cuts that are otherwise coming. It's become clear after 6 weeks of the shutdown that the strategy of shutting down the government and forcing the Republicans to talk about the ACA wasn't working. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
I need a moratorium on mischief. My Virginians have been suffering under this administration. The shutdown started on January 20. I need a moratorium on the punishing of the federal workforce.
Yeah, but I mean, some people would think that there's a capitulation if you only agree to a standalone vote.
Need to understand how the Senate works. We have brought this issue as a major national issue from zero to a major factor, I think, in the last election. And I think we're going to continue to make it an issue.
We need to get this economy moving again. That's why what I'm focused on, as well as making sure we get a vote and we do something about the cost of health care for millions of Americans.
And I'm sure Senator Sioux gives you his word. His word is good. And I'm sure you believe that.
I believe his word is good.
Okay, well, so there is a senator who called BS on their explanations and decided that, he's going to disagree with their newfound logic, Senator Bernie Sanders. Here it is.
To my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number two, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted. But tonight, that is not what happened.
Well, all right, let's get into it. Very sad day. Put them up for a mask. Here we are. While Democrats have held firm on their demand since the shutdown began, a pool of 8 moderate Senate Democrats have agreed to vote on a spending bill to reopen the government, and without an agreement on an extension of the Obamacare subsidies, instead securing a promise from Republicans that the chamber would vote on extending the subsidies in December. Basically a pinky promise from Senate Republicans. The agreement also includes a reversal of the mass firings of federal workers by the Trump administration since the shutdown began on October 1st. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. And would ensure federal workers receive back pay. The Democratic caucus members who voted to advance the package were, you have Tim Kaine, you have Jackie Rosen, you have John Fetterman, you have Shaheen, Hassan, King, Durbin, Cortez, Mosto, and many of them are actually retiring in the upcoming re-election. They're not seeking to be re-elected. And the one thing that seems like a tangible that they got out of this deal, federal workers receiving back pay, that's not a tangible, that's called legal. So the Trump administration made a proclamation to illegally withhold back pay from those who are working, federal workers. And the Democrats are basically, these 8 Democrats are basically saying, well, we got that put back on the table. No, that never should have been off the table. And if it is off the table, that should not be a remedy in law. It's a remedy in case law because that entity, meaning that agency, would have to defend that particular action. Now they don't, by the way, because, well, you all made it part of a bargaining chip. While Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer voted against the bill. Now, this is where politics comes in. He voted against the bill after massive public pressure. Still, myself and others are calling for his resignation. Why? Because he allowed the vote. He's in charge. He allowed the vote. He did not have to allow the vote in the first place. There's more. Congressman Ro Khanna, whom we have had on this program, called for Schumer to be replaced. Quote, Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Reactions from other elected Democrats. Representative Hakeem Jeffrey, the House Democratic leader, was livid about the senator and threatened, quote, we will not support spending legislation advanced by Senate Republicans that fails to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Governor Newsom, one word, pathetic. J.B. Pritzker said, quote, this is not a deal, it's an empty promise. Trump and his Republican Congress are making healthcare more expensive for the middle class and ending it for working families. Time for Democrats to stand tall for affordable health care. AOC posted on X, quote, the average monthly SNAP benefit is $177 a person. The average ACA benefit is up to $550 a person per month. People want us to hold the line for a reason. This is not a matter of appealing to a base. It's about people's lives. Working people want leaders whose word means something. Jasmine Crockett wrote in the following statement, quote, I'm heading back to D.C. to vote no on this short-term funding bill because it fails to address the healthcare crisis Republicans created. House Democrats have been clear from day one. We're holding the line to make sure that our constituents and theirs have access to affordable healthcare. Our fight is for the people who cannot afford another hit, for the families watching their healthcare costs skyrocket and wondering how they'll make it to the next month. I will not look at crumbs and pretend that Republicans have offered a 5-course meal. This is more than sad, right? So Democrats actually had the support of the masses in order to take out the villain. Who's the villain? Well, bad policy is. And for the first time in many years, people are actually looking at policy again rather than just personality. So Donald Trump's, well, his popularity has gone in a toilet because his personality cannot overcome the policy impact that people are actually feeling. So now Democrats have an opportunity. Democrats have been talking about policy every single year. Policy, policy, policy. And they have fundamentally been right. But then when the opportunity comes to stick to a policy argument that the people are supporting you on, you decide to cave. And then for Schumer to play the political game, allow the vote, but also vote no, was insanity. And most people won't get that nuance, and he knows that. That's why we provide it. Senator, you have been in your elected capacity prior. You have been inside of these halls where people talk outside of the context of official record. What in the hell happened here?
Like, you hit the nail on the head in terms of people not understanding this. Schumer played a shell game.
Right.
When you laid out, he didn't have to allow the vote. You have a minority leader. You have an assistant minority leader. You have a minority whip, and you have an assistant minority whip. I was the whip at one point in time in my state. And what the whip's job is to whip them votes when something as crucial as what we just saw on display last night. And then, yeah, it comes a time where there might be some consequences and repercussions in your caucus when it comes down to something of this magnitude. If we can't whip people on doing the right thing. Senator Chuck Schumer got all the power in his hands in terms of controlling his own caucus doc. And if he can't control the caucus, he should have stepped aside a long time ago. I'm glad to see some of my sisters and brothers and family and friends calling for him to step down. I've been calling for him to step down. Matter of fact, I believe that anybody who was the leader before the second tour of duty of President Donald J. Trump has to go. And that's including leader Hakeem Jeffries. Now, Doc, I know they're going to go back and the House is going to hold. But Leader Jeffries was asked today, do you think Leader Chuck Schumer should step down, or do you support him? He said he still support him. So I can't roll with it. Okay, yeah, I cannot roll with you being okay that premiums are going to double. People who are underinsured or uninsured are going to get hit even more. Senator Bernard Sanders was absolutely right. It is a stain on the Democrats. You know, Doc, one of my friends said it's like being in a boxing ring and you boxing your heart out. And you may lose a few rounds, but you rounding home, and baby, you got the advantage in about the 10th round or so. And then somebody in your corner throw in the towel, unbeknownst to you. That's what those daggone 8 Senate Democrats did. And trust me, Senator Chuck Schumer knew they were going to do it. And I believe that Leader Hakeem Jeffries knew what was going to happen too, because usually the insider game, you asked me, you communicate. Both chambers communicate with each other. So when I was in the Senate, if there was something crucial in Ohio, the House leader, minority leader, would communicate with the leader over in the Senate. 9 times out of 10, we knew how they were rolling in the House before it got to the Senate. Now, I ain't got nothing to back that up. I'm just telling you how this game is played in terms of, did Jeffries know they were going to do it or not do it? His hands ain't clean either.
Yeah, well said. We'll bring you updates as they come. We're taking a quick break. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
revolution. You are much needed.
TYT! TYT!
The place is like 95% TYT army.
Favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
All the people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning, they seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
Favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We still have a lot on the agenda. Let's get right into it. All right, so Donald Trump has promised a $2,000 dividends check to every American. No details, no timeline, and really no budget. Just a promise and a smile. Well, not even a smile. All right, put a full mask. This is going to be interesting. So now we have Donald Trump promising a $2,000 payout to all Americans. He posted yesterday to Truth Social, people that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and we'll soon begin paying down our enormous debt of $37 trillion, which he created, by the way. Record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. There are no details to any of this. Can we put that? Let's put it back up just for a moment. Donald Trump speaks in the spirit of a used car salesman. Everyone receives $2,000. Major payout, at least. Come on down. Current tariff rate is highest since 1994, by the way. So the current tariff rate, so consumers face an overall average effective tariff rate at 18%. That's the highest since 1934. After consumption shifts, the average tariff rate will be 17%, the highest since 1936. That means tax. That is a de facto tax. The cost of food is higher. The cost to distribute the food, higher. The cost for you to buy the food, higher. And restaurants, well, you get the picture. It costs more all the way around. Remember, there was an argument. I don't know how he made this argument successfully, but Donald Trump said that he believed that the originating country paid the tariff. Obviously, we said clearly that's not the case. And I would hope that anyone who believed that Trump was telling the truth when he said the originating country pays the tariff, they know good and damn well he was just lying. Let's put it up. Affordability is a con by the Democrats, says Trump. Here it is.
So I just heard this yesterday that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving was 25% more expensive under Biden. That's to me, that's a big number because Walmart's respected. I mean, Walmart is Walmart and, they're giving you prices. So that would mean that the whole series of pricing and costs, the groceries and everything else, it was a con job. It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats. The Democrats are good at a few things: cheating on elections and conning people with facts that aren't true.
Wow. Really not sure exactly what you were trying to land there, Trump. But I am sure you were lying. Okay, Senator, thoughts here.
I mean, he would know. Well, it takes one to know one. I mean, first of all, President Trump probably hasn't purchased groceries since David threw the rock.
Right.
I mean, the man don't know how the cost of anything, even in good times for most people. This president doesn't know because he didn't buy his own groceries. He's probably never purchased, ever in his life has purchased any groceries. And he especially has not been purchasing groceries since he's been president, both tours of duty. That's number one. Number two, Doc, I read a headline last week. The Trump White House says that the president is going to address affordability next year. And I read that almost verbatim in my head.
Wow.
So the president said affordability is a con job, but yet his people out there talking about he's going to address it next year. First of all, one, it's not a con job. Two, next year, sir? Next year. Everything that you laid out, Doc, about how expensive everything is, that is true. And so him trying to measure how the people are feeling their pain points based on what Walmart is respected. Walmart ain't respected. Most Walmart workers receive subsidies from the taxpayers' dime because they're not receiving the living wage. And Walmart is not the only one. But I'm just laying that out there. And then there was another point I had to make sure. Who are the we? You keep talking about we. I just want to know who's included in that we. And you laid out the $37 trillion in debt, partly due to him, not only due to him. And is this monopoly money? Talking about giving out. We just want to know what kind of money. And even if he did, Doc, even if he did manage to pull this off, you know what? It comes nowhere near close to the $1 trillion tax cut that he gave to the ruling class in the United States of America.
That's right. It's as if, okay, he'll take away $30,000 from a family by way of income and incentive, and then give you $2,000 back and say you win it. You're losing $28,000 in that deal, but only a con man would want you to fall for that.
Come on.
All right. I got to take a break. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, Everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
Favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning, they seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Don't forget about Noble Mobile. Make sure you check them out and get money back. You get paid for the data you do not use. All right, go to go.tyt.com/switch or utilize that QR code. Okay, we got a few comments. We'll read as many as I can. True Sight Dragon. Glass Center attorneys here today. I think will benefit from a perspective on this massive Democratic capitulation. That's right, and she has. Dragons don't know I'm not real bacon. His word is good. Checks notes and find a single example of their wording being good. These people are a joke. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon. Count on Bernie to say something right. Yep. And yeah. Rocky said none of them are for re-election, right? Like basically most of them are not. You're correct. All right. Well, hell of a thing. A white male driver hits the police again, and hits the police another time with his car, trying to kill them. Now, I'm going to say this. He's alive. I'm glad he's alive. My point is not about him being alive. My point will be something different. I want you to see it first, and we'll get into it. Here it is.
Girl.
My God. What the Oh my God, the police officer.
Put it up full mass. A 21-year-old named Dalton Lee Janicek is facing attempted murder charges. Dalton was the driver inside of a $148,000 Mercedes who ran over a cop 3 times, then allegedly crashed into a police cruiser head on. The Montgomery County District Attorney's Office announced charges against Dalton after a violent encounter with police in the Plymouth Township in Pennsylvania, October 24th. The incident started after an officer attempted to stop a white Mercedes G-Wagon that morning. Well, he did not want to stop the G-Wagon. The car sped away, driving erratically at a high speed and even crossed over the concrete median. About an hour later, police found the G-Wagon at a DoubleTree Guest Suites hotel. When an officer parked behind the car and activated his emergency lights. Police say Dalton put his vehicle in reverse and struck the police cruiser multiple times. An officer got out of the cruiser and told Dalton to stop. But Dalton did not stop. He put his car in drive and he accelerated directly at the officer in an attempt to hit him. Prosecutors say. The cop opened fire in response, but Dalton accelerated the vehicle again and struck the cop, causing him to fall, according to the DA's office. There's more. Prosecutors say that while the officer was on the ground trying to wrap a tourniquet around a leg wound, what did Dalton do? He circled the hotel parking lot and then ran over the officer 3 times. Authorities say Dalton fled the parking lot after running over the officer, which triggered a brief police pursuit. The chase came to an end when Dalton allegedly swerved onto oncoming traffic and ran into another police cruiser head on, leaving another officer injured. The initial footage from the parking lot is being used in the investigation. So according to a criminal complaint by Patch, Dalton told officers, quote, "Put me in the car or I will kill you," end quote. As they were placing him in police custody, The 2 injured cops were rushed to a nearby hospital for treatment. One of them, who was severely injured, underwent emergency surgery. Authorities say both are in stable condition. Dalton was treated at a local hospital for a head wound. So according to local reports, Dalton is a student and member of the men's rowing team at Loyola Marymount University and the son of a prominent lawyer in Montgomery County. The luxury G-Wagon he was driving typically retails around $150,000. His arrest record reportedly shows several drinking-related offenses. He was charged with over the summer, including careless driving, speeding, passing where prohibited, and driving an unregistered vehicle. He now faces multiple felonies for the October 24th incident, including attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, aggravated assault, and fleeing or attempted to elude a cop. Once again, here's his picture from the mugshot. He remains incarcerated with no bail. Motive for the attack remains unclear at this time. He is alive. Others are injured. I'm glad that everybody's alive. My point is this. While Dalton here is alive, I believe others should be alive as well, that pose less risk, if a risk at all, to members of law enforcement. And this is a steady reminder that law enforcement can respond within the appropriateness of the moment, rather than respond outside of the appropriateness and in an aggressive and unlawful manner. When that cop shot at Dalton, he was well within his appropriate right to shoot at someone who is literally trying to kill him. No argument there, none. But once Mr. Dalton was no longer a threat, once Mr. Dalton was fleeing, he did not pose a threat to that cop. And the cops responded in that way. I bring this to your attention to remind you of how many individuals may have had a conflict with the cop, decided to walk away or run away, and the cop decides to shoot them in the back. They did not do that to Mr. Dalton. And I'm saying they should not have done that to others. All right, Senator, thoughts here.
Yeah, amen, Doc. We advocating for people to be treated like Mr. Dalton was treated. And that really is a daggone shame, because he could have killed that police officer. I mean, really. And then got other people killed as reckless as he was. So I'm glad that they got him. But yeah, memo to law enforcement agencies. That's how you're supposed to comport yourself when you're in a situation like that. Period. So they can do it once, that they can do it every single time, or most times, because we know every situation is not necessarily the same. But by and large, yeah, I'm surprised Dalton is not dead.
Yeah. That was a horrendous and consistent action.
It was, and the car, his vehicle remained the weapon. I mean, technically, the man never took the weapon, I can't say out of his hands, but he always had his weapon, which was his vehicle. He was using his vehicle as a weapon.
That is a very fair point, and you're right. All right, we'll bring updates as they come. Okay, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on him for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
So you just hit my car, and I'm asking you for your stuff. Can I have your insurance information, please? Ma'am? 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 Ma'am?
All righty then. Let's put it up full mass. Let's talk about it. So an alleged Karen meltdown after rear-ending a black driver. That is the narrative. Atlanta Black Star had a little more background on the incident. Justin McPherson, a young black male, captured the aftermath of a freeway accident on video, where the woman at fault seemingly faked a meltdown just before police arrived. McPherson, who allegedly rear-ended this summer by an unidentified white woman who had pulled over on the side of a busy freeway after the collision. When he approached her car with his camera phone in hand to ask her for insurance and information, she quickly turned the tables, appearing to play the victim instead. The Instagram reel captioned, quote, "Caring in the wild in a natural habitat," end quote, has gained hundreds of thousands of views since it was posted on August 21st. The woman was shown crying hysterically and slumped over the steering wheel as her confused dog looked on. Her behavior prompted a shocked McPherson to tell her, quote, "You just hit my car." The situation escalated when McPherson addressed her as ma'am and calmly asked her for her insurance information. Quote, "Get away from me," she screamed as she thrashed around in her car, throwing items against the dashboard and muttering, "Oh my God, leave me alone," she mumbled through tears. "Just wait until the police officer gets here." Although data on how often people lie to the police blame African Americans or make false police reports is limited, the concept of the racial hoax is well established. Some states, including New York, New Jersey, and California, they have enacted laws against false reports motivated by racial bias. The outcome of the collision remains unclear because McPherson didn't post a follow-up video. And if there is a follow-up video, sir, we encourage that you give us the information or post it publicly. All right. It is an interesting dynamic, even if, and I'm talking about just based on the narrative, even if she did rear end somebody, there typically is no victim perpetrator scenario. It's an accident. You can be at fault. You can be negligent in the sense of breaking the rules of speeding, following too closely. These are tickets. These are tickets. You pay the fine. They just want your money, to be honest with you. You got insurance, hopefully, because if you don't, now that's breaking the law. But to respond in this way as if somebody has harmed you, even if you were rear-ended, ma'am, that's not a way to respond. If it's a fender bender, you're okay, everybody's alive and the police are coming. I'm just trying to understand the emotionalism here. Senator, thoughts?
Dr. Rashad Ritchie, I tried never or rarely to enter the mind of Karen. I mean, a Karen's tears will get you jacked up. Yeah. Really. No, that was wrong. The woman needs to seek some help. I don't think she should be behind the wheel, Doc, actually, because if that illicit, I mean, it was a fender bender. As you said, accidents happen. Accidents are called accidents because they weren't on purpose. Right. It wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. These things can be worked out, especially if everybody got out okay. And it seems from that video that there were not any serious bodily injuries, then everything else can be worked out. But if she responds to every situation, even outside the car like this, and I'm serious about this, she needs to seek some help.
Yeah. Yeah, that was extreme. All right. Yeah. We got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
There's one reason why healthcare is so messed up in this country, and that's because of our money in politics situation. Because those industries that are deeply corrupt can just simply purchase all of Congress. And then the problem never gets fixed because of that bribery. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's greed, and it's the greed of politicians, right? I mean, so everything they do is dictated by the donors and the money. I mean, I shouldn't say that, not everything. A lot of what they do is, and I do think that there are people who do things in spite of the fact that they have to raise money and often don't get that money and often don't win because they don't, but are in there fighting for ideals that they believe in. Bernie Sanders is certainly an example of someone like that.
I'm back to gaslighting. Did you and I talk about gaslighting on Old School?
Probably.
That boss gaslit all his female employees. People who manipulate others like that make you feel like you're the weirdo. Why won't you punch yourself in the face? What is wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad.
God, why didn't I just punch myself in the face and poke my eye out? I'm 47 and I just figured it out like earlier this year.
You figured out somebody was doing it to you, or that you were
that it was that it would have been happening my whole life and I didn't realize it.
Right.
You want to know the 3 shows that I'm watching lately? Shogun, Anjin-san. Those guys are badasses. Then you go to the Duttons, Yellowstone. Now, they don't always do it right, but they are badasses. But the 3rd show has the biggest badasses of all, the Young Turks. Live every weekend. Sick of that, was so good. God damn it. Okay, live. Weekdays at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's what I meant. Anjin-san.
How do you know if you're a populist? Easy. Do you work for the donor class? You don't? Great, you're a populist. Okay, so the establishment takes money from the donors and serves the donors. Mainstream media takes money from advertisers, and they are giant corporations themselves, and they work for themselves, and they work for the powerful. If you care about the average person, and you want the average person to have better health care, better wages, a better life, and you hate corruption, congrats, you're a populist.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it, and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
It's a very, very sad story. And I want you to prepare for it. Imagine you're a house cleaner, you're knocking on the door, and you get shot. That's what happened. So a housekeeper was fatally shot and killed by a homeowner after simply arriving at the wrong address, knocking on the door. That's it. Put it at full mass. So sad. Indiana. Maria Florinda Rios Perez de Velasquez, a woman working as a house cleaner, attempted to enter the wrong house, wrong address, was shot and killed by the homeowner. She was only 32 years of age. She was a mother of 4 children. At the house, the bullet hole is still visible through the door. Her husband, who cleaned houses with her, witnessed her death. He told NBC News, quote, "It's not easy. At the moment of seeing my wife in my arms, already lifeless, covered in blood, I felt like they tore everything from me," end quote. Ms. Velasquez was heading to the private residence alongside her husband to clean the home in Whiteside, Indiana. On the morning of Wednesday, November 5th, she tried to open the door using a key and was promptly shot in the head. Her brother, Rudy, told NBC News. She then fell into the arms of her husband. She was 32 and an immigrant from Guatemala. Quote, "It's just so unjust. She was only trying to bring home the daily bread to support her family," he told the outlet. "She accidentally went into the wrong house, but he should not have taken her life." An autopsy report performed on her body and her manner of death was ruled a homicide due to a gunshot wound to the head. Boone County Coroner Justin Sparks confirmed to local ABC affiliate WRTV News. However, the classification does not necessarily mean that the shooter will be criminally charged, Sparks said. Quote, "It has no impact. It is a classification of manner of death, no implication in the criminal realm." People have reached out to the Boone County Coroner and the Whiteside or the Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department. Quote, "Homicide in the context means the death was caused by a volitional act by another individual, another person, not necessarily implying criminal intent," Sparks continued. Quote, "We're just trying to unravel what exactly happened and, if applicable, what charges there would be," Whitestown Metro PD Captain John Yurkarsh told WTHR. Quote, "This is still very fresh," end quote. In a statement shared on social media, the WMPD wrote, quote, "The facts gathered do not support that a residential entry occurred," and confirmed that that Velasquez died at the scene and her husband was on the porch of the residence as she attempted to fit the key in the door, placing neither of them inside the home. WMPD confirmed it is an open investigation. The shooter is yet to be publicly identified. So these are distinctions that they needed to make because of responses that came after the initial report. Homicide just means another person caused the death, all right? That's it. So it's a homicide. The criminal aspect is contextualizing the investigation. And a big part of that is, was their entry into the home? Was somebody inside of your house? And if so, did you feel your life was threatened? So typically you have a 1-2 combination with that. If they're outside of your home, you have a duty to enforce trespass. Yes, you have a right and obligation to enforce trespass. But you have to warn the person. And they have to make a reasonable exit or reasonable response to get off your property. It's as if somebody's at your property knocking on your door. You can't just shoot them. That would be insane. That would be worse than Wild Wild West. A person is able to knock on your door. If you do not want them there, you could tell them that. If they don't start making a reasonable effort to leave, you then have the right to enforce trespass. But that is an important element of this law, and that is the reason that law enforcement decided to highlight that there seems to be no entry into the property, which provides a different set of rules and standards that must be applied. All right, Senator, thoughts here.
You talk about shoot first and then not even be able to ask any questions. This really is tragic. I feel so bad for her husband, her children, you know, her entire family, Doc, and we'll see what the investigation yields. And I love how you breaking down the law and the nuances so that people can understand what's happening here. This is not the first case like this. Unfortunately, there's been an increase in cases like this. You know, there was one story we did a while ago where somebody just pulled in somebody's driveway to turn around and the homeowner started shooting at them. There have been stories about teenagers, you know, knocking at the wrong door, you know, at the wrong home and being shot. So come on, people, calm down.
Yeah.
Everybody shouldn't have a gun, Doc, because that to me, that shows a lack of discipline that at the first time you're going to shoot first. Like you said, no, hey, what you doing? Who are you? None of that. You just open up and fire. It's really, this did not have to happen. And it's unfortunate that it did.
That's right. And it doesn't make it safe for anybody.
No.
All right. An Atlanta off-duty cop shoots a black man 17 times in the back. We have new details. Here it is. All right. So an off-duty cop in Atlanta shot Linton Blackwell 17 times in the back. The 44-year-old is pictured here with the family on the right and Mayor Andre Dickens as well, Mayor of Atlanta. The father, business owner and rapper who was known as B. Green, was killed outside of a bar by police officer Gerald Walker. A friend of Blackwell who was with him that night, has made statements to local media contradicting the official police narrative. And Blackwell's family has already retained an attorney. Quote, "How do you justify shooting him 17 times in the back?" said Jimmy Hill, whose own son, Jimmy Atchison, was killed by Atlanta police in 2019. And I'm good friends with Mr. Atchison. Atlanta Black Star reports that the official police narrative claims that Atlanta police officer Gerald Walker was working off duty. He was a security official near the 5 Paces Inn. That's in Atlanta's Buckhead area. This happened October 11th. This is when he received a call from the 5 Paces asking for help dealing with an argument outside of the bar between Mr. Blackwell and another person. When Walker arrived to the bar, Blackwell walked away from him and retrieved an item from his car, putting that item in his waistband while ignoring commands from the off-duty officer regarding a gun, according to a press release from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the state law enforcement agency investigating the shooting. This was when Walker opened fire, according to Blackwell, shooting Blackwell 17 times. Shot him 17 times in the back and the buttocks, according to the autopsy conducted by the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office. So the GBI police narrative also states, quote, "A gun was recovered on the scene," but does not say whether that gun was the item that Blackwell retrieved from his car or if it even belonged to him. However, the initial report from Atlanta police stated the preliminary investigation indicates that the suspect was in possession of a firearm, but that was before the GBI took over the investigation. But Hill is skeptical because police released Blackwell's car to family members 2 hours after the shooting instead of impounding it as evidence, as they usually do when they believe the car was used in the commission of a crime, especially anything to do with guns, to allow them to thoroughly search the car for evidence. Quote, "Why didn't they take his car as evidence?" End quote. He asks, "They released the car 2 hours later to one of my cousins, the same car they say he got whatever it was he got out of it. You know the cover-up is real," Hill said. So I'm going to get into the witness account that contradicts. But so far, you definitely have an issue with the chain of evidence. Because if there's a claim that something was found and there's no investigation into the vehicle, which is common practice for APD and frankly any other jurisdiction that has an investigative unit, they're going to impound the car. And they're going to investigate to make sure there's nothing else in that car that can be utilized for whatever investigation they're attempting to land. So the shooting was witnessed by Blackwell's friend, William Stanley, who was with him that night, telling local media that the cop had been working security at the bar, which contradicts the police narrative, saying he had been working at another location when he was called over to deal with Blackwell. Stanley told Atlanta Capital B that the cop, Walker, frisked both of them as they entered the bar, telling Blackwell something along the lines of, quote, "We're going to be good tonight. We're straight tonight," indicating that they may have had prior interactions. Blackwell responded by saying, "We good, man," Stanley said. He said they separated after entering the bar, and it was not long before Blackwell was arguing with a white patron for reasons unknown to him, and said he and Walker both got involved to break up the altercation. When the altercation went down, I went over there to break it up, and the officer was right there with me breaking it up, he told Atlanta Capital B. Stanley said he waited a few seconds before following him outside to the area where they had parked, and the cop had already started shooting him. Quote, "He looked like he was trying to head back into the establishment, but the dude was already shooting him. He had already shot him over 5 or 6 times at that point," Stanley told Atlanta Capital B. Hill said there are several surveillance cameras in the area that should have recorded the shooting, but no mention has been made by the police about any available video or whether the cop was wearing a body camera. But Walker, who began working for the Atlanta Police Department in 2023, has already had 7 policy violations, including 6 having to standard operating having to do with standard operating procedures regarding body cameras, according to Atlanta Capitol B, which obtained his personnel file. 6 of those 7 violations were actually sustained by Atlanta PD, meaning they found it was accurate. Blackwell was a well-respected father of twin girls and had several brothers and sisters. Hill said he also operated a business where he would drive people from upscale hotels to the airport in a black SUV, even mingled with Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens on at least one occasion. Hill said the family organized a balloon release in his honor at a local park about a week after the shooting, and more than 1,500 people showed up to pay their respects. Well-respected individual, person who is well acquainted with Atlanta. Atlanta's well acquainted with him. According to the eyewitness or eyewitnesses, it did not go down as the officer said, but the autopsy even says that by stating he was shot in the back and the buttocks. Well, where's your butt? Or asked in the back too. So it doesn't seem to be any conflict between the evidence from the forensics and the eyewitness that this man was being shot in the back. That's where you start. All right, Senator, thoughts here?
Yeah, Doc, I mean, this makes absolutely no sense. It's more than unfortunate. And it seems by the reports on this officer's record, even if we set aside with his altercation with Blackwell, that Walker is not necessarily fit to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And why these departments continue to let people like him and others, year after year, continue to stay on the force. Once you get these level of reports, something else should kick in, Doc, on the administrative side. The anxiety, the stressors, am I still psychologically able to do this type of work? And it's not a punishment for police officers. It's a very hard job.
Yep.
But shooting somebody in the back in that way, like you said, the forensics are clear. Now, they might uncover some other stuff, but the forensics are clear. The bigger issue is that how do police departments protect the public and the officers from the psychological trauma? And I'm not saying this officer had it, but given his record heretofore, maybe they should have counseled him to another job.
Yeah, and that's why I've advocated for psychological evals every 6 months to a year. Because
right.
you want to check things, right? The same cop that you hire on day 1 may not be the same police officer day 365, and it does them a disservice when you don't want to you don't want to look because you don't want to do something. All right, we'll bring updates as they come. We got more on the other side. Indisputable, stick and stay.
What contributions to the progressive cause are you most proud of? I mean, I don't have super high aspirations for a singular role that I can play in the movement or anything. I try to present myself as what I think that I am, which is a progressive man who is driven by I think, well-interrogated and well-organized system of values that I try to stay consistent on, and I demonstrate that that's the sort of life that a person can lead and be successful and be happy and all of that. And that should not need to be done, but there are so many people on the right that are trying to push men in the opposite direction that I want to be able to do that. Along the way, if I can get people to care about some topics that they wouldn't necessarily care about, or that for some men they might think that's not a topic that they should be focused on, that's definitely something that I relish doing. And along the way, I mean, we've been able to introduce people to a lot of candidates. That's been a big part of what we've done. Not all of them necessarily got in office. Probably most of them did not. And a lot of them, you might not even remember their names. But it was great to be able to provide people the platform where they had the chance of, making a difference. Obviously, AOC and all that. But there's been a lot of great people along the way.
In the bonus episode for the members, we do some inside baseball. We're gonna look at John's desk. Nice little spaceship here. Nerd. But it is kind of look cool. Who has Legos? Oh no. He's taken apart a keyboard. Who has a mouse pad that's this big? He's got a dog with a nose that you could hang something on. You know what this desk screams to me? Nerd. And that's how we like him. We love Johnny Pie. He's got his own personality like everybody does at TYT. Come meet us all in the bonus episodes. TYT.com/team.
David Sorrell, Nia Turner.
Adam Green drop by.
Charlamagne Congressman, great to have you.
It's great to be with you, Chang.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated? Or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is duopoly that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like, how is that like at one level, it's like, this is what we're talking about now. You're like, it's 2024. And that's always been the critique, your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
My favorite news platform by far. It's not even close.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both work to achieve. And I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making you happy.
I didn't know about that.
This is a happy experience.
What's up?
You're welcome, YouTube.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive Shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real, positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. I'll read as many as I can. Very thankful for everyone. All right. Yep. Jojo_Dragon talking about the Karen. Even her dog knows those are fake tears. He was like, what's going on? I thought we were good. Yeah. Christina Elisa Brown with the doc and Senator. I'm stuck and staying. Great show. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support as always. James M., what kind of gun has 17 rounds in it? That is a very fair question. It's called one in the clip. So you have one in the clip and you have 16 left. This guy obviously was ready to go. And he emptied the clip. That's what he did. There was no other possible way that a security guard with a handheld gun has anything other than that. So that's a very fair question. The man emptied the gun into this other person's body. And yeah, he could have. That's possible. RSDJ1 said 17 times. That means he reloaded. That's a murder. That is possible. I just think the guy had, I think he had something else on him as a security guard that day that had 17. We'll see. In the forensics, they did not make mention of a secondary gun. All right. Hell of a thing. Dance Mom's star recounts racism that she experienced while on the show. Put it up for a mask. This is extreme. So according to page 6, Dance Moms star Nia Sioux accused her ignorant former dance teacher, Abby Lee Miller, of making racist remarks while filming the hit Lifetime show. The dancer, who starred on the series from 2011 to 2017, made the shocking claims in a new book, quote, Bottom of the Pyramid. She was 9 years old when she first appeared on Dance Moms. The book title bottom of the pyramid is a reference to this young lady being placed constantly at the bottom of the ranking board that Miller would make at the start of each week to show the young girls where they ranked in their dance teacher's eyes. Sue claimed that Miller criticized her braids during the filming of season 2. Quote, Abby told me that I needed to fix my hair because I looked awful, she said, on camera, no less. It's like a log coming out of the side of her head, she wrote in the book. She also wrote of another incident, this time not captured by Lifetime cameras, where Miller allegedly asked, quote, don't you just wish you had white girl hair? Quote, I was taken aback by her question, but I responded, no. Sue wrote, oh, really? She said, like, you don't think it would be much easier? Again, I told her no. It didn't matter what she said. I knew I didn't want to be white, unlike the other exchange. This one never aired. Miller also allegedly criticized her body. Sue wrote that Miller believed Black people were physically predisposed to having flat feet. Damn. As she was often heard on camera criticizing her, quote, bad feet. Quote, she would say, well, you know your people have flat feet, end quote. Sue penned of the alleged incident, quote, this struck me as ignorant. I know plenty of Black dancers with perfectly arched feet. Quote, yet despite the fact that she actually believed this ridiculous generalization was true, she threatened punishment for my perceived shortcoming. Quote, if you don't point that foot, she warned, I'm going to come out there and break it. Yeah. If somebody has a limitation because of a physical challenge, then why break somebody's foot due to it? Unless you really don't believe that. You just, The model continued her claims and was criticized for her thighs, her butt, her muscular legs, and at one point in season 6, Abby talked about the size of my thighs in the dressing room. She wrote in the book, quote, she implied that I was fat because I was not working hard enough. That was just one of the many comments Abby made to create an illusion that I was lazy or just not strong as a dancer. Also, in the memoir, she claimed that many of her solos had racial undertone, which would be featured as a storyline on the Lifetime show. In one example, Miller titled Sue's first solo in the competition team, Natty of the Jungle, which was about a child left in the wild and raised by monkeys. On Tuesday, Sue chatted with Page 6 Radio about how painful specific topics were to write about, including the claims of racism she faced. Something that I cover a lot in the book is just like how I was seen. I was seen as the weakling, as the bad dancer. The newly minted author explained, quote, some of the things that were said about me, they tried to make the narrative like the little Black girl couldn't dance, and that was the narrative that they ran with. Sue continued to claim, quote, they had 7 seasons to turn that narrative around, and they never did. They failed to do so, and that's part of the reason why I had to write the book, because that's not the whole truth. I started in one place, but by season 7, by the end, I was a completely different dancer, a completely different person. I wasn't weak. I was a very strong dancer. Sue added that she loved being part of Miller's competition team in the beginning, but that changed little by little as the seasons went on. Just the things people would say, the negativity, the toxic environment, like it definitely got to me, especially by the end. I was definitely kind of burnt out. Sue continued that she doesn't have any kind of relationship with Miller today. Wow. You have to imagine these children are already under a pressure that most adults will never experience. Not only because of the competition, but they are on TV where anyone can start trolling them, talking about them, criticizing them, etc. But to be criticized by the person who is your mentor, that woman is in the position of a coach. A coach is your mentor no matter what team you're on. You look to that person for your encouragement. You typically trust their advice, and they are someone that you can confide in if there's an issue. Every coach is a de facto mentor. To have your mentor do something like this over a period of years and make absolutely no apology about it I understand why this sister wrote this book. All right, this is the thoughts here.
I'm glad that she did write this book because hopefully it's a beacon of light for other athletes who may find themselves in similar situations, whether it's based on their race or based on other abilities. Number one, that's child abuse, what this coach put Sue through all these years. Number two, I want to know where Sue's parents were, Doc. I just want to know. I'm not blaming them for the coach's behavior, but at some point, somebody gonna get slapped around. Number three, the nerve of her to talk about anybody's body. Has she looked in the mirror? And I don't even roll like this, Doc, but I got to roll like this today.
It had to be said.
Since she went there on Sue, as young as Sue was when she started abusing her. Number four, where were the Lifetime producers and directors and higher ups? See, they like this kind of stuff because on reality TV, you want this kind of tension and drama because it drives clicks and ratings. However, there should be a line drawn between children and grown A people on reality TV. Number five, she is beautiful. Black is beautiful in all of its different forms, and that coach knows that. That's why she came at her. Number six, Doc, even if Black people are predisposed to having flatter feet, what is wrong with that? That means God made them this way. And just because you got an arch in your foot or your people are more predisposed physically to have an arch than not, don't make you better than nobody else, though. See, falling into that, talking about her braids and stuff, all of that stuff is macro aggressions at this point, Doc.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. Black people still go through it of all ages. Our hair, our nose, our hips, everything about her, you criticizing. Man, where was her parent?
And done so while being paid by the same families and on a hit Lifetime show. You should be happy that everybody who's on this team is on the team. All right, Senator, always fascinating to have your brilliance. We thank you. Always give us the information to keep following you and checking out your great work.
Good to be with you, Doc, per usual. Meet me on Twitter at Nina Turner. Yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. That's my little revolt. On the gram, Nina Turner, Ohio. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm everywhere, Doc, but those are the two. Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. And make sure you follow our organization at We Are Somebody because everybody is somebody. You can see us on the gram at Strike for All.
Amen to that. Thank you, sister, for all you do. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.